Good to go. Oh, we can't hear you.
Oh, there we are. Okay, there we are. Hey guys, sorry, somehow I think I swiped it. Kids. Okay, so I'm super excited about the team call tonight. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Casey, and I'm a QNMD with Michelle, underneath Michelle, and we partner together for these Monday night calls. And we are so excited to introduce this training tonight because I have had a personal experience with Kira Westwick's husband, Adam. When I became a senior sales coordinator just a couple years ago, I actually had the privilege to stand in line with Adam while he was a senior sales coordinator right next to me. And the reality of this now is that he is a 300 club national marketing director. So they are doing something right. Michelle and I, you guys listening to my kiddos in the background, you know, they're doing something right over there. And so Michelle and I are really passionate about modeling what they're doing and just teaching it to you guys and duplicating that. So we are super excited to kick off Kira Westwick's training tonight about knowing your why and believing in yourself. So Michelle, I'm gonna go mute because I have the children losing it on the plane, and everybody just pray for me tonight on this flight.
Thank you. So yes, I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and we're just going to get to it because there's just so much rich information that we want to hear from these amazing Australians who are rocking it, and we have lots we can always learn. So I'm going to share my screen. Oops, that's not what I want. Okay. Okay, let me move this to here. All right. So some parts of this, her microphone isn't super loud, but it'll come back if that's the case. So I'm going to start it, and you guys can give me a thumbs up if you can hear it. Just a second. It's not loud yet. She has like, it'll get louder in just about 15 seconds. Let's see here. Yeah, her husband helps her.
Sorry, guys. Who's scared of success and what that actually could mean for them? Yeah, that was definitely me as well. It was easier to stay in my comfort zone and know what that story looked like every day than it was to take that step off the cliff and not know what that was going to mean for my life. Now, the problem with this is 1% of doubt, just 1% of doubt can poison 99% of the, just 1%. And it's our job to go to work on building belief every day. It's our job to train our mind for success every single day. And I don't believe that ever ends. Not even at whatever club, 1,000 Club Linda is. She's still training her mind for success every single day because she knows that doubt will poison her belief. Now, the challenge for me in the beginning was that I was waiting for the first 12 months. I was waiting for the confidence to get into action. I was hoping that one day I read the right book, I listened to the right podcast, hopefully that confidence would magically appear, and that's when I was going to get into action in my business. Now, the problem with that is action creates confidence. And that's where you have to be willing to take the step off the cliff. To step outside your comfort zone, that is where the magic happens. That is where the confidence comes. Action will take you out of doubt. It won't happen the other way around. One of the other ways that we F ourselves up in this business is comparison. And I was also guilty of this in the beginning. How many of you feel like you're failing because you're comparing yourself to Adam Westwick or Brian Marsh? Won't stay there. Success is different for everyone. Success is different for everyone.
Mic 3.
Technical difficulties.
There we go. So we're not here to tell you what success should mean for you. For some people, success is $500 a month. That's what they're in this business for. As leaders, we're here to support you in what success means to you. I was having a conversation with one of my QNMD leaders recently, and she had been feeling challenged at that level for quite some time, and what she realized was she was making our dreams her dreams, and that's why she was feeling stuck, because she wasn't inspired by what my dreams were. You know, she was putting things on her vision board that didn't matter to her. So make sure you're asking yourself, what does success mean to you? Some of you don't want to do the work that it takes to create a 300, 400 club business. Maybe you'll want to do that 3 or 4 years from now when your kids are in school, but right now that is not what you value. That is not what success means to you. I remember my first $1,000 check in this business, and it felt just as rewarding as what my check is today, because it meant freedom. I finally had financial freedom in my life. I felt so abundantly blessed with the money that I was earning right at the beginning. And that's why I have these 3 gorgeous girls up here today, because they've always struck me that they have so much gratitude for where they're at in the business. They're not complaining about failing. They're not comparing themselves to what others are doing. They're staying in their own lane, as Linda would say. So the first, I'm going to get Simone to share first. And it's been over a year now that you've been in my business, yeah? And I actually knew Simone before this business. And when she came to me, she had just had her second little girl, Dottie. She has the cutest kids, by the way. You have to check out Instagram. I never thought I would say someone's kids are cuter than mine, but hers are. Sorry, babe. They're really cute. And Simone is always radiant. I call her my sunshine. She has always been grateful for what she's earning. You can always feel how much of an impact it's had on her life. And when she first came to me, Dottie was just a few weeks old, so she wasn't ready to be on fire changing the world. Her primary focus was, you know, being a mom and adjusting to another baby. So she's now in a transition in her business where she is starting to take off, but she's always been grateful for where the journey has taken her. So if you can share how much the income and the journey has meant to you.
Sure. Hello. Hi. I'm an emotional wreck, so there's definitely going to be tears here. And here they come. It does mean so much to me. So I'll just get them out now, and then that way I can read my stupid speech. So ever since I was a little girl, I always knew that I was different. While my sisters were playing Nintendo, that makes me feel really old. You could find me up a tree somewhere writing poetry and trying to catch a fairy. I was always a dreamer. But then somewhere between then and marriage and motherhood, I really did lose myself and who I was. And along with that, I really did lose my voice. And when I say lose my voice, quite literally, if somebody said something to hurt me, if it was an opinion that I didn't agree with, or just something that I was super passionate about, I would go to speak and the words would literally get stuck right here. And it's so much Kira's story, and that's why, you know, obviously I resonated with her so much, to the point where my throat physically ached, because I really did lose that voice. So 18 months ago, when this did come into my life, I did just give birth to my second little girl, and I just had no idea who I was beyond being their mummy. So it's like the real me was trapped inside, and the real me was just inside, just screaming, banging against a glass ceiling, like, "Let me out! I'm amazing!" It was painful. Like it was physically painful, and it sounds so dramatic, but it is real that it was debilitating. On the outside, my life was perfect, but on the inside, I really was just this shrinking flower. Like, it really was debilitating. So fast forward to today, and that $1,000 to me a month, like, that's my freedom. Like, that means the world to me. And I can honestly say that I have found myself again and what my purpose is. And I may not be an NMD yet, but if I can just help one person find themselves again and realise that they are enough, then that to me is priceless.
That is one of the biggest emotional revenues right there, is seeing someone for who they are the day that you meet them, and then watching them find for themselves who they really are, and just seeing them switch the lights on is just so incredible. And we've been waiting, and it's coming, which is just so amazing. So Susanna, this is actually a really powerful story with Susanna, because she reached out to me many months before she joined my business, and she would ask a question and I would reply, and then I would have crickets for months. And it would have been easy to write her off and just say, this is a time waster, I'm not going to respond anymore, I'm not going to engage with her anymore. And when she did join the team, many months later, as she grew some confidence, she shared with me that it was actually her self-esteem. That's why she wasn't replying. She didn't even feel worthy of being in conversation. So once again, just that emotional revenue and that patience and holding that space for people. And I know that this business has meant the world to you in terms of freedom as well, Susanna. So I'd love you to share your story with everyone.
Hello. Yes. So my story is quite similar to Simone's, although before rewind back, I was in a corporate job, earning decent money, being able to support myself, feeling like an independent woman and being able to look after myself. And then I got married, had my babies, and all of a sudden I'm that stay-at-home mum that's not bringing in an income. And one thing for me was, like a lot of women experience but don't actually talk about, is all of a sudden I went from being this independent woman with my own money to all of a sudden I had to ask if I could have money, if I could spend money, because there was this power thing where my husband was earning the money and I was at home with the children. So if I wanted to buy something, I actually needed permission to buy something. So it's hard for me to. So yeah, all of a sudden I just found myself in this position. I was suffering postnatal depression and had anxiety and depression for quite some time. So the power of that first check of, I think it was about $500, it was just priceless. Like Kira said, like to me, that was freedom. That was, I could go and get my hair done and not have to ask for money. I could go and buy my kids something without having to explain how come on the statement you spent $30 at Kmart. Like, ridiculous. And I just, yeah, so for me, although like Simone and Kira, I want to aim for the top now, and I'm starting to get the confidence to know that I can do this. My vision is that women and mums in particular can become independent, financially independent. And no matter what the family dynamic is or the structure is, whether you're married or separated, you can stand on your own 2 feet and you don't need to rely on somebody else to determine your worth and how much you're worth. And so no matter what happens, I'll be able to look after me and my children.
And there's just a certainty that comes with that. You know, I know even in my relationship with Adam, I'm not planning on leaving anytime soon. I don't think he is. But to have my own money, my own certainty, to find my voice and what I'm capable of, it just brings a level of certainty that I think as a woman is really empowering and really important. And I think it's really important to show that to our children as well. So Tammy has an amazing lesson in her story too, because Tammy is our newest NMD under Erin McPherson. Could anything else go wrong? So conference a year ago, I got a phone call from Erin, and I had bought some spare conference tickets, and Erin was wondering, would I gift it to Tammy because she was in a really difficult financial situation, but she was really excited to come. And I felt really torn because I was in a financial position to gift it to Tammy, but I also knew the power of people making that stretch and investment themselves. Otherwise, they may not value the gift. And so I was very torn, but I've had lots of coaching and mentoring in my life that you don't gift things like that. So I stretched Tammy to find the money to come, and you borrowed money to get there. You borrowed a lot of money because you had to fly in as well. Is that right? Yeah. And within the first month, you had made back pretty much your investment, I'm pretty sure, hadn't you? And yeah, and Tammy's just another one of those teamies that the money has always made an impact. It hasn't been a comparison of I'm failing. It's always been like how much is this money helping me? And that has just inspired your growth to NMD in just over a year, which is as fast as Adam Westwick. So if you can share your story of how it's making an impact in your life.
Sure. Is this working? Yes. So mine's a little bit different. The reason why I came into this business than the other stories. I guess you could say I'm an Aussie battler in some way. I was a PT. I ran a Mums and Bubs boot camp, and I also worked in a restaurant on the weekends just to make ends meet. And my husband's a musician, so having those kind of jobs, you can imagine that it's really unreliable. But we loved what we did, so we literally lived week to week, and I was having, honestly, panic attacks and anxiety every single day, and I suffered insomnia for years just from stress because I was working really hard but not getting ahead. So when the beautiful Jordana showed me this opportunity, and it was only $137.50 to buy this ticket, to join the franchise, basically I said, I have nothing to lose. What have I got to lose? Nothing. And something has to change. So I actually literally had to borrow that money. I had $30 in my bank account. So yeah, I saw the vision, and I knew that something had to change. I was so grateful, for where my beautiful home, my husband and my children. But I was 40, turning 41, and my future did not look great if I didn't change something. So I saw what Adam and Kira did, and Erin, and I said, I can do that. Why can't I do that? And so I just went for it. And that first, I think, $1,000 in the first month just helped so much. And when I saw that I can make 1,000, I thought maybe I can make 1,500, and then maybe I can make 2,000, and so on. Yeah.
And I think that And I think the key to Tammy's story is she looked at we were doing as inspiration, not comparison. Like, I could never do that. She looks at it as that's possible, and she's taking one step at a time to achieve that in her own lane without comparing, and that is why she continues to take one step after another, and she's been able to accomplish NMD so quickly. So amazing. Thank you. So I'm going to let the girls get comfortable off the stage so they don't feel like you guys are staring at them for the next 20 minutes. Thank you so much. There's my song. So I think it's really important to get clear with what success means to you and to really create those stepping stones and to feel gratitude and feel inspired by what's possible, not beat myself up because I'm not achieving that. I know for most of you in the room, I know for myself, $500, $1,000 a month of, in part-time stolen moments, that extra income is life-changing to a family. It gives you choices that you wouldn't have, choices like, I remember as a child not being able to go to camp because my mum couldn't afford the $70 for camp. I mean, it gives you those kind of choices where you don't have that little bit of extra stress in your life. So back to our belief and why is that holding us back? And most of you would have heard one of my favorite quotes in the world by Tony Robbins, and that is, the reason why you're not living the life of your dreams is because of the bullshit stories you keep telling yourself of why it's not possible. So we're going to focus a little bit on those stories. And what's amazing to me is how good I am and how good most of you in this room are at directing and writing and scripting and visualizing shitty stories for yourself more than once a day, probably all day, every day, if you're anything like I was, right? My crappy stories that I played over and over and that still creep in sometimes today is that I'm a shy person. I'm introverted. I'm just a mum. I told myself my whole life, I'm just a mum. I'm not a career-driven woman. I don't know how to run business. I was annoyed that my husband was in business. That's how much I wasn't going to do business. I'm not one of those people. And I don't need nice things. We can have an okay life. We don't need to be one of those people. These stories allowed me to feel safe in my comfort zone, but they also made me feel miserable. Sometimes, as I said, we're more scared of the success than we are staying miserable in our comfort zone. So the good news is, if you're so great at directing shitty stories for yourself, what if you just created amazing stories, amazing visions for your future? What if you stopped stressing about the past, which doesn't even exist anymore, and stopped attaching meanings to past situations that you choose to focus on? Or what if you stopped casting crappy stories and worrying about the future that also doesn't even exist, that you actually have an opportunity to consciously create something amazing for your future? What if you directed your focus and your energy there? Imagine how much of an impact that would have on you today in this moment, but also in the future that you create. Your mind will focus. Your mind will find what you focus on. So when you're constantly in suffering states, focusing on anxiety and stressing about the future, or having fear around a particular scenario that hasn't played out, or you're thinking about something that happened in the past, when you have those chaotic thoughts that play in your mind every day, that's what you find in your future. That's what will continue to show up for you. And this is why I say it's important to train your mind for success, because if you don't become conscious of the stories that you're telling yourself every day, then you're just going to keep replicating that in the future. And how crazy is it that we believe it's normal to live in these suffering states? How many of you, the fear and the anxiety actually just feels normal now because that's what you live in every day? Right? Probably most of the mums in this room. I can see a lot of you nodding your head. That was definitely me, and I still have that default mode if I'm not living consciously. Now, in this business, I want to relate that to this business, because if you've lost hope in this business, and most of us will come up against this challenge at some point, if you've lost hope, it's because you're focused on something in particular. So when I first started in this business, I was so determined to not focus on me and not to look in the mirror. I was so determined to focus on everything that didn't work about the business. So I could say to Adam, see, it doesn't work. So I didn't have to put the effort into growing bigger as a person. So I was focused on what head office did or didn't do. I was focused on what was wrong about the comp plan. I was focused on upline, sideline, downline, what was wrong about all of them. Blame, shame, and justify. That mode, you will lose hope in that mode. When I realized this and I switched my focus, there is so many things that you can be grateful for about all of those things that I just mentioned. And when you look around the room at the leaders, it's because their focus is different. They're focusing on what is right. They're focusing on what do they need to change as a person if something is not working. They're not focused on blame, shame, and justify. And they certainly have no expectation on their team, least of all on their team. Upline, sideline, downline, 100% appreciation and zero expectation, because your goals are your goals. And the only person you can rely on is you. So change your beliefs, change your focus, be more flexible in your frameworks. That's something I've definitely had to work on. And you will change your life, not just in this business, but everything in your life will start to shift. And you know what? Sometimes we're so tightly attached to our beliefs, but it's actually so easy to change them if they're not serving us. So I want to give you an example of this. Who, when you get a no, your belief around that is, see, I'm failing, I'm never going to be good at this, I hate getting no's, I feel so awkward, I knew I wouldn't be any good. What if you changed your belief to a no is one step closer to a yes? A no is building your confidence, you're exercising that muscle, you're getting better as you get closer to that yes. A no is simply that person doesn't like sushi, and that's okay. I'm not looking for everyone in this business. So change your focus, change your beliefs, be more flexible in your frameworks. So my new beliefs, my new frameworks, I'll give you some examples. I am a boss babe is a lot more powering than I'm shy. In fact, I'm shy was just a BS excuse so that I could be lazy, because it was out of my comfort zone to talk to people. So it's easy to say I'm shy than it is to actually go to work on building confidence around doing that. A boss babe isn't shy, isn't worried about what people think. So that was always an empowering statement for me. What about I am an awesome networker? For all of you in the room that are shy and introverted and not one of those people, what if you started telling yourself every day, I am an awesome networker? I am here to serve. This is one of my favorite ones, because the minute I embody that statement, I go from my head to my heart. When you're in your head, you're dead. When you're in your head, it's all about you. And as soon as you transition to the heart, it's just relaxing because you're focused on others. That dissipates all of the fear for me. I am flexible and seek understanding of others' perspectives. Some kind of I am statement or flexibility in your thinking in this business around that is really important, because you're going to be working with hundreds of people with very different values to you, very different perspectives on situations. And the better you get at being able to see and understand others, the better leader that you're going to become. So you do need to become more flexible in your thinking. And what about it? You put a new meaning on being outside your comfort zone. That your new belief was that it's exciting. It's an adrenaline rush to be outside your comfort zone trying something new, rather than this is really uncomfortable and I don't want to do this. So when you start choosing your thoughts consciously and deliberately, you become the master creator of your life. You are the master creator of your life. If you don't like how life is right now, you get to create something different for your future. But that does start with mastering your thoughts. And I did a personal development course a couple of weeks ago. And I've definitely progressed a lot in the last couple of years, but we all still have our patterns and our habits that when we're not being conscious, we kind of default to them. And I had this massive aha moment. Sharon helped me, actually. She was my buddy there. And I've had this increasing suffering state that I live in where my kids, when they're noisy, I find it highly irritating to the point where I say I feel like my ears are bleeding. That's how extreme it feels for me when they're being noisy. And they're not even noisy. I mean, they're girls and they love watching TV and doing art, so they're not even that noisy. And the realization I had was it actually wasn't their noise that was making my head feel like it was going to explode. It's that my internal noise was so loud that when they tried to, when they were just playing and being kids, that extra noise on top of that made my head feel like it was going to explode. And the beauty about being able to acknowledge that and becoming conscious of it, although it feels so obvious now, I can't believe it took me so long to realize that. It doesn't mean that I'm perfect now and I don't have the noise anymore. It's just that now that I'm conscious of it, when that feeling creeps in, I now have the knowingness to stop and pause and take a breath and clear my mind and be present with my kids. So the power is becoming conscious of where your thoughts are so that you can catch yourself and build the habit of being able to redirect your focus. How many other mums are like that, where there's like just so much noise? So I want to show you a resourceful tool. And by the way, I love this quote by Simon Chan. If you're earning less than $1,000 a month, it's because you're talking more to yourself than you are to other people. That was definitely me. It still is sometimes. Okay, so I want to share a tool with you that I sort of learnt at this self-development course that I did. And I'm going to keep it completely non-spiritual, and I have a written version for you guys who aren't into closed eye. But I want to help you direct a new story for yourself and just maybe perhaps help you become conscious of where your thoughts might be currently, whether you're someone who obsesses with the past and that you're attaching all these meanings, or whether you're someone who is casting, future fears for yourself. And really just help you quieten that noise in your head a little bit. So we're going to have a little bit of music, and I'm going to invite you guys to close your eyes. It's only going to be a 2-minute thing. Get comfortable. So step 1, I just want you to take in some really deep breaths. In through the nose, aiming for about a count of 4, and just a deep, relaxing sigh for about 8 seconds. Just feel comfortable. I like to inhale calm and exhale stress. The more you focus on your breath, the more awareness you have on your breath, the more your mind will become quiet. And I invite you to ask yourself, where are your thoughts? Are they stuck in the past that doesn't exist? Or are you hallucinating about some kind of suffering in the future that also doesn't exist? Become conscious of the mistruths you're telling yourself. Acknowledge that much of this noise is just a story. And stories can be rewritten. And step 3, now that you're conscious, now that your mind is clear, what is your inner truth? Because for any greatness to happen, you first have to move from untruth to truth. Now see yourself as who you want to be. See your limitless potential. See yourself achieving your dreams, your desires, because what you can imagine
you can achieve. Before we build a house, we first have to imagine what that house is going to look like. We then have to create a map, a plan. We believe it is possible, and that's why we achieve it. What does your map look like? How will it feel when you achieve it? And feel the gratitude as if it's already done. Feel the truth of who you are. You are worthy, you are capable, and you are born with unlimited potential. And it's all up to you. And you can open your eyes. So this is a tool that I found really helpful. I can do it in the car. I can do it in the kitchen when I feel like I'm about to lose it with my kids. I can do it before a Zoom training. It doesn't even have to take 2 minutes. Center myself with my breath. Become conscious of where are my thoughts and how bullshit they are. And then tell myself the truth of who I am. Because I think when you quieten the noise, all of you can feel the power within, who you really are, who you were really born to be. That's what I use to drive my confidence when I feel that it doesn't exist. That's how I've been able to go from shy and introverted to standing on this stage, which I still hate, but I'm telling myself I'm here to serve you and it's not about me. So I get out of my head and into my heart. That's really weird. I'm like missing a page. There it is. So for those of you who are that's still a little bit out there, a bit spiritual, there's a written form of this in your book. And Ange Simpson, one of my teamies, she actually led this with a team training recently. And I thought it was a great tip I just wanted to share with you, where you can write a script for your life of what you want in the future. You know, who you want to be, where you want to live, what that feels like, what that looks like, what you'll be doing with your time. And you can read that every day. You know, all of the leaders talk about getting in state each morning with some kind of ritual. So that's Angie's ritual, is to have a script of how she wants her life to be in the future. So there is a section where you can do that in the workbook if you're more of a written person than a visual person. And just remember, just like what Brian said, your desire is a magnet that is going to pull you forward towards your success. So it is really important to spend time on what that desire is. And just a couple of last thoughts. If you want to live an above average life, it is going to take an above average effort. So sometimes being honest with yourself, you know, in this business, if you're not getting the result that you want, have you really been putting in an above average effort, an above average effort in serving others? Because that's how you grow an amazing business with Juice Plus. Raise the bar on yourself. This is one of the biggest tips that I could ever give you. Stop letting yourself off the hook. Raise your standards. Stop leaning on your BS excuses of who you think you are and become the person you were meant to be. Success is your responsibility. We're here to help you along the way, but the sooner that you step into that responsibility, the sooner you will create more success in this business. And I do believe that it is our responsibility, each and every one of us, to want more, to have more, to grow more, so that we can give more. You know, stop telling yourself, I'm not one of those people, I don't need to fly first class. You know, obviously we don't need to, but that's a BS story, isn't it? Why wouldn't you if you had the money, right? And who are you to judge those who have the ability to do that? It's your responsibility to have more and be more so that you can serve the world more. And I'm going to finish with a story. And funny, the theme is eagles. And
I heard this story at the course that I did recently, and I personally found it really powerful, so I'm going to try and recreate it. And the story is of the limited chicken. So one day there was a farmer, and he saw this beautiful golden eagle in the skies above him every day. And one day he thought, I want that golden eagle. So he set about trying to catch the golden eagle every day, and every day he failed. And one day when he was out plowing the fields, he looked up on the mountains and he saw the golden eagle, and he wondered what was the golden eagle up to. So he set about climbing the mountain, and when he got to the top, he saw that the golden eagle had laid an egg. So the farmer thought it would be easier to take the egg than to catch the golden eagle, and he took it back to his farm and put it in with his chickens. And the mother hen obviously nurtured the egg, kept it warm, and the baby golden eagle hatched. Now, because the golden eagle, the baby, was surrounded by chickens, he thought he was a chicken. So he behaved like a limited chicken. He ate worms and bugs. He pecked like the chickens. He walked around like the chickens. One day he was staring up at the heavens and he saw the beautiful golden eagle. And he said to the mother hen, wow, look at the golden eagle. Can I fly like that? And the mother hen said, no, you're just a limited chicken. You can't fly. And so he put that thought out of his mind and he went back to plucking like a chicken. And then one day the golden eagle was looking down and he saw the baby golden eagle. And so he came down, he swooped down, he picked up the baby and took him up to the cliffs. And he said, what are you doing behaving like a chicken? You are a golden eagle. You are a king of the heavens. You were born to fly. And the baby says, no, I'm not. I can't fly. I'm just a limited chicken. So after much convincing, the golden eagle convinced the baby to take flight for the first time. And he realized in that moment the truth of who he was. He was born to fly. Who has been the mother hen in your life that has told you you're a limited chicken? You can't fly. Our society has raised us to be limited chickens with good intention. Our families, sometimes even our friends, tell us that we can't do that. But the truth is, you are here to fly. You have unlimited potential. The world is yours, but it's all up to you.
Wasn't that amazing? So that is all for tonight. Thanks for hanging with us. I knew it was going to be a long one, so I wanted to start on time, but I appreciate you guys being on here. We have it recorded. We will be sharing it tomorrow. This is my second time to watch it, and I am just super encouraged, and I took away other things. So you may want to watch it again. There's more of these trainings we're going to be recording and sharing with you guys, but I'm just grateful you guys are on here tonight. We will be reconvening next Monday night, and every Monday we have our prayer meeting at 9 a.m. in the morning, so Central Time. So if you guys can ever join that, it's such a blessing. But we hope you had some great takeaways tonight, and thanks for being on the call. Have a good night, everyone. I'll unmute you. Good night.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.